Today or during the playoff, do you ever speak to the team like a locker room speech?
Hmm. I mean, no. I mean, it's a amazing feeling, but like I said before, it's not everything on the wall. I think. I mean, probably that's a normal thing. Nobody likes his job, or maybe they do. You know. Uh,
How have you grown and what have you learned from being a dad? And have you noticed any of those skills translating to being a better basketball player?
nah. I cannot help you. But the thing that I mean, I knew that even before that the basketball is not the main thing in my life, and probably never gonna be. And to be honest, I like it because I have something more at home that is more important than basketball.
So I'm curious what you are feeling right now, and if you're looking forward to a parade coming up in Denver
Venice parade. Venice parade.
Thursday.
No. I need to go home.
It's too much, but if you will,
So
you're the fourth
great.
player in NBA Finals history to record the line that you had today, joining like LeBron, KD, and Tim Duncan.
He looks at the line.
What do you think about when you hear that?
He's like,
It's not a big 23, 12, and 4. Ever the 23, 10, and 4. Oh. I mean, I don't know. Nice. It's good. I mean, I really don't know what to say. Thank you. Pleasure like always, guys. Last time. It's not
Do you ever get
Oh man, that is great.
That was classic.
Oh
That
man.
was.
So I wanted to say that he's turning into my favorite player just because he's so honest about what he does. You just feel like there's no show. Like he's not putting on a show. He's just being himself. And how can you argue with it? He's saying family's more important than his job,
Yeah.
which everybody can relate to.
Very true.
Everybody can relate to, like, not everybody, but like most people can relate to not liking their job, or at least like being frustrated with their job at times. And he's just he's turning into my favorite player.
Yeah, I can't believe he's just so bored with being NBA. He was MVP last year, I believe, right? And then he almost got it again this year, became the NBA Finals MVP. And I don't know. He looks extremely bored at his job.
I think he's just trying to tell everybody that, like, look, this is a job.
Mhm.
Like, I'm really good at this thing. I'm 6'11" and I'm good at it, but it's not everything in life. It's not my everything. Like, it's as opposed to Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan, it was his everything. Like, he was super competitive. He was the best player in the league, and his whole life, and Kobe Bryant, his whole life, like, revolved around this. He like looked up to this. Jokic is it could arguably be the most talented player ever because on talent alone, he has no drive at being the best. Just talent alone, he's the best right now. What do you think, Chris? I see you're like the wheels are spinning.
I love the attitude that he has. Like, he's out there to do his job, and when his job's over, he's like, okay, well, when do I get to go back home? He won the championship. They did what they were supposed to do, and he's like, a parade? I don't want to do a parade. But did any of you watch any of the highlights of the parade?
No.
I saw it a little bit.
It was hilarious. They were all hammered. Mike Malone, their coach, was the most hammered out of everybody. It was great.
The best part of Mike Malone is he got trashed, the coach. He got trashed, Jake, and he guaranteed a championship next year. He's like, we're repeat. I'm guaranteeing that we're repeating. He shows up with a shirt that says, put that in your pipe and smoke it. That is like,
I love it.
I love that because my dad used to say that to me when I was a kid, like all the time. Whenever like he was giving me like a life lesson and like it was a really like tense moment, and he's like, oh, this is when I'm supposed to teach my son something. And he would say like something on the lines of like, you know, the 5 closest people that you're around that makes up who you are. So make sure, like the 5 closest people, really make sure that those people are important in your life. And there'd be like a pause, and he'd look at me and he'd go, put that in your pipe and smoke it. That was his phrase. So when I saw that as his shirt, I'm like, that's one of the best shirts I've ever seen. Mike Malone's a cool guy.
Yeah, he seems like a really, really cool coach to play for. Getting that hammered with your team after a championship.
One of the guys took off his shirt. There was a couple guys walking down the street in the parade without their shirt. It looked like a fun parade. Everybody was just like,
yeah,
like you said, everybody got trashed. Let me ask you this: do you guys think they're gonna repeat? Jake, do you think that they could repeat?
I think they have the potential to. I think they're the best in the West during the season, right? And they obviously were the best during the finals. And I could see, as long as they keep this team together, I wouldn't see why not. So,
what do you think, Chris?
It depends. You know, I forgot, someone was talking about winning a championship, and you know, it's not easy to win one, but you win one. The hard part is winning 2 and then 3, because you know, guys win one and they get offers to make more money. They get commercials. They get, you know, more people want to talk to them, and they kind of lose sight of the fact that it takes a lot of work to win a championship. And they come into the next season and they're just not ready for it. And you got a target on your back now. Every team that plays you is like, even if you're a shitty team, it's like, well, we beat the defending champions this year. You know, we only won 20 games, but one of those was against Denver. So you're going to get everybody's best every single night.
The one thing that they have going for them is they're very young. I mean, Jamal Murray is young. Jokic is only 28. He's at the prime. There's no key players that took part in the playoff run that were older. Like I think of like the Milwaukee Bucks recently won, and they have like guys like Chris Middleton who are like in their 30s. And so coming back for like a repeat, it's tough for, I mean, he was injured pretty much half the season this year. I think that they're young. That's the thing where they could repeat. And also their leader, whether Jokic wants to be the leader or not, he's the leader. And the leader doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care if they win or lose. He doesn't care. So all the pressure is off. You know what I mean? He's kind of like Popovich in a way, as he's a player Popovich, because Popovich is like, when he does an interview, he's like, I don't care about this interview. This is the stupidest thing that you're interviewing me right now between the first quarter and the second quarter. And he kind of has the attitude where like, this is a joke. And Jokic, he thinks the whole thing's a joke. And so all the pressure's off. So I think that that is kind of maybe, I mean, he's Serbian, which is an old state of Russia, and Eastern Europeans are really good at chess. Maybe this is like a big chess game to him, and that's like his move, is like, I'm just going to play like none of this matters, and then I'm going to rattle off like 6 championships in a row because people are going to see it come. I don't know. I really respect the way that he like his mental attitude towards the game.
Yeah, I think dynasties are good for the NBA. So, you know, the Warriors being a dynasty was good for the NBA. If Denver becomes a dynasty, that's good for viewership and people being interested in the sport. You would think it would be the opposite, like, oh, if some team's dominant, but no, because then everybody's like, we want to watch them lose, and then they keep winning. So I think it's good. I hope they run it back and they bring back all their key guys and they make another run at it. And I obviously want the Lakers to win, but they're one of my favorite teams that I like watching play. So I'd like to see them keep it together.
The Nuggets are the favorite right now.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. And they should be. What is it at?
It's at plus 460 for the Nuggets, plus 480 for the Bucks, plus 500 for the Celtics.
So
that seems about right.
Those are the top 3.
I might like that Celtics one because they're going to make a move in this offseason.
Whenever I look at a champion, I like to look at a very long shot, though. So I'd probably look a little bit down.
You got.
I'm not saying bet on it, but I'm saying out of those three teams, I like the Celtics the best for those odds out of those three teams.
The
Okay,
Suns plus 700.
Just
the Warriors
the
plus
Celtics. Yeah, the Celtics might go get Chris Paul. I know Chris Paul. That's like he's just going to get hurt in the playoffs, but they might go get him. That'd be huge for them.
That would be huge. I didn't like it when Chris Paul. I think I might have said it on the podcast. I didn't like it when Chris Paul came to the Suns for some reason. Probably because he was older. But everywhere he goes, he is good. Everywhere he goes, and he's only going to be like an addition to the Celtics, especially at this point in his career. He's not going to like be the star. They have stars. He's just going to plug in at point guard. If he goes there, yeah. It might actually be a good value play to do the plus 500 because if Paul goes there,
that's what I was saying. They have the most chance of improving their team the most out of those three teams. Denver's not going to get any better. No. Milwaukee, I don't see how they get any better, but Celtics have a lot of draft capital and guys they can trade. So, and they might even have enough money to sign Chris Paul straight up.
Yeah, the Celtics are really good. The Celtics are really good at their general management and their financial management, where they have all these stars, but then they also have a financial cap to bring in a Chris Paul. It's pretty amazing. I wanted to go over one thing though. You mentioned the Phoenix Suns, or you didn't mention the Phoenix Suns. You mentioned the Lakers. I want the Phoenix Suns to win. You want the Lakers to win. The Denver Nuggets had to get past both teams in order to win the championship. But listen to this. Jokic had to, in every stop in the playoffs, he had to get past Rudy Gobert, DeAndre Ayton, and I always say that name wrong, Anthony Davis on purpose, and then Adebayo. Is that right?
Yeah.
Adebayo.
Yeah.
So all four of those centers are in the top 15 centers in the league, and they are all defensive centers. Like they all are pretty. You don't think so?
All four of those centers would be backups in like Shaq's era. They're skinny, light, tall, skinny guys. Like, and Jokic's a bruiser, and with like guard skills. Like those guys they're just playing in an era where there's no center, so they're better. Their stats look better than they really are.
I disagree with you. I don't think they're going to be backups. I think they would be at least stars.
Okay.
Maybe not their top 15.
But they're not all stars.
They're not all stars like they are today, but they are defensive players. If a center is going to guard Jokic, you need a defensive center. And these are the guys. Even though they might not be the best guys in history of the NBA, these are the guys. And he went past all four of them. And these are the stats that he had. He had 30 points per game, 14 rebounds a game, 7 assists. He had 1.5 blocks per game, Jake. He had 58% field goal percentage, and he had 42% three-point percentage as a center. And these are supposedly, Chris would tell you they're not. These are supposedly the best. These are the defensive players, defensive centers.
Yeah.
And they don't really have a chance. That would make you think that Denver, when the playoff run comes around next year, they're going to take it again.
I mean, they're the favorite, so they just ran through everybody pretty easily. So I don't know. It's hard to count them out.
And nobody gave him a chance. He got the MVP trophy, and he lost it. I don't know if you guys heard. Did you guys hear that? That he lost the MVP trophy?
No.
So he lost. So this is like typical Jokic. Like he doesn't give a shit about any of the accolades. And so he got the MVP of the NBA Finals, and the article that I read said he lost it. He lost the MVP trophy. But if you if you read the whole thing, what ended up happening is he took the NBA Finals MVP trophy, and then he went into the trainer's room. And the trainer for the Nuggets is a guy named Sparky Gonzalez. He left the trophy in Sparky Gonzalez's room, in his trainer room. And I don't know, a guy named Sparky Gonzalez, you don't leave a trophy there.
No, not with Sparky.
So he leaves, he comes back, trophy's gone. But what ended up happening is Sparky just took the trophy because he probably knew, like, Jokic doesn't give a shit about this. I better take the trophy just to make sure, like, we know where the trophy is. And so he took it, and then later on he gave it back to him. He's like, hey, you left the trophy in my room. Here's the trophy.
Wow.
But I just think it's funny that I think the funniest part about that is the Denver Nuggets trainer is called the Nuggets, the Nugs, the Denver Nugs.
Sparky.
Their
Sparky,
trainer is
yeah.
called Sparky. I mean, you couldn't write this. This is like, it's like a movie.
There you go.
Well, I want to get back to the one thing you're saying. So you said all those guys are like all defensive centers, and then you gave all the numbers. I think that kind of proves my point that those guys aren't great defensive players. They're just playing in an era where there's no other good defensive centers. You know, those are just insane stats. You could see like maybe one series or two series. It's just a bad matchup for the guy he's playing, but he did that against every single one of those supposed like great defensive centers, and he just ran over all of them.
And I think you're right. That proves that either Jokic is like one of the best players of all time, or
Which he is.
He is. And at the same time, maybe those defensive centers are not good. Maybe there isn't good defensive centers. Maybe you're right. And the crazy thing is also, I think what I'm trying to say is, you were saying the Celtics, I think that even though they won, even though nobody gave the Nuggets credit at the beginning of the playoffs, and they just drove through everybody, and then now they're plus 460, the same with the Celtics and the Bucks. But the Nuggets, like, who can stop them? Because their best player is 6'11". He has a 7'3" wingspan. He is the guy, and you got to have a center. You got to have a really good defensive center to stop him, and there are none. So I think what I'm saying is, like, along with what you're saying, I think like I don't see them losing next year. The crazy thing about it is, like, as a contrarian, you think like, oh, they won the championship, you don't want to bet on them next year. But I think people are still, even still after they cruised through the playoffs, they still aren't counting them. And maybe it comes from Jokic's attitude. Maybe you watch him on TikTok and you're like, this guy doesn't care. They're not going to win next year. I don't know. It's pretty. It's weird. It's a mental game as a bettor, thinking about next year. It'd be fun to have Michael Fiddle on the podcast at the beginning of the year, because he says on his podcast that he has 50% of his bets are season bets, long-term bets. It'd be fun to have him on to see what he thinks about season bets.
Yeah, definitely. I like it.
All right. If you're hearing that, I want to say one more thing. I mean, put that in your pipe and smoke it. No, that's not what I wanted to say. Okay. So this is the thing. I came up with a stat because I love statistics. We're in the game of sports betting. We love stats. I want to do a stats. I'm going to do a trivia to see if you guys can guess a team. You guys are trying to guess a team. Okay. So nowadays in basketball, especially in the last like 4 or 5 years, if you think about the change that the NBA went from 10 years ago to now, Chris, what's the change in the NBA that you think of? This isn't part of the trivia. You can say
I guess 3-pointers.
The 3-pointers,
Yeah.
and there's more scoring. Doesn't it seem
Yes.
like there's way more scoring? There's
There
3-pointers.
is, yeah.
So this is interesting. So I wanted to look up like historically what have teams done in points per game? Like, what has scoring done? And the thing that I think of that's pretty wild is, so I was really into basketball when I was a kid. My dad used to take me to games, and he used to always, whenever the Denver Nuggets would come and play the Lakers, he would buy that ticket and take me to the game, because back in the day, the Denver Nuggets were known as a scoring team. So he thought like, oh, this is going to be like a fun, interesting game because there's going to be a lot of scoring. This is back in like the early 90s. And I wanted to look that up. I was like, were they a good scoring team? I mean, now teams are like really into scoring. So were they a really good scoring team? 90s, they were. You're right. They were a scoring team like today. But in the 90s, they weren't in the Denver Nuggets 90s team was not in like the top 30 of all-time scoring teams. So just to give you an idea of scoring of now. So the Sacramento Kings this year were the highest scoring team. And they averaged 120.7 points per game, which is insane.
Yeah.
That's a crazy compared to like
Stupid.
other. That's stupid, especially in the last like 20 years. Like that doesn't happen in the last 20 years. But all-time teams, they're 20th. The Sacramento Kings came in at 20th. There's a team. They were the 1981-82 season, the 1982-83 season, and the 1983-84 season. So that team, you can kind of say that's a 3 back-to-back years. You can kind of say like they probably had the same players, the same coaching staff, the same strategy. And so that team, the 81-82, they averaged 126 a game. That's the most all-time, 126.5. Then the 82-83 averaged 123.2. They came in 6th all-time. Then the next year, 83-84, 123.7, that's 4th all-time. So this team were the top 3 all-time scoring teams out of the top 6 of all-time history.
Damn.
What team do you think that is? Early 80s. Who wants to go first?
I'll let Chris go.
All right, Chris, you get first. I'm going to give you guys like 3 picks just in case you don't get it.
Can I get it? Was it Eastern Conference or Western Conference?
Oh man, you're gonna cut out half the teams.
Well, okay.
Think about
okay.
Western Conference and Eastern Conference.
Yeah,
Eastern
no.
Conference
So
is normally defensive.
So right? I know the Lakers scored a lot back then. That they did that more towards the later 80s. I don't think they were scoring that much in the early 80s.
I would say that too.
Maybe
but I would also say that the Lakers were a defensive team. They had Michael Cooper, who's like one of the best defensive players of all time. And so, I know you have Magic, and you got Byron Scott. He can kick it out, and you got James Worthy coming down the lane, and then you got Kareem. He's got that hook
81.
shot.
So 80, 81, 82, and 84. God, I was thinking maybe the 76ers because they had Julius Erving. I don't know what year he stopped. And then Barkley came in and they had Moses Malone too, but I don't know what years those overlapped. I know the Supersonics were good at that time. I think they won the championship in 79 though, or 78.
I think it's a 78, 79 year. You got it hit right on the nose.
It wasn't the Supersonics though? No, it wasn't the Supersonics. All right, I'll make a guess. Fuck.
Could be. You got to make your pick.
God, the Suns had like... Was it the Suns?
The funny thing is like, I hope people listening are screaming at the radio because they know the answer, or they don't.
Was it the Suns?
Yeah,
I'll go with the Suns. I don't think it was them, though.
It's not the Suns. Jake, you have to pick a team.
I'll go with the Supersonics.
It's not the Supersonics. Okay. We got those out of the way. Should we just do one more pick?
Go give us Eastern or Western Conference.
It's Western Conference. You got it right. It's definitely Western Conference.
Well, it wasn't the Clippers. It wasn't, so it's not the Suns. It's not the Lakers.
Here's an interesting thing, too.
Ooh, was it the Trailblazers?
No.
Damn.
Not the Trailblazers.
All right.
I don't know. I'm lost.
You got to pick a Western Conference team. Pick the Minnesota Timberwolves because
they weren't around back then.
No.
That's a tough question, man.
Cleveland Browns?
There you go.
Who was it?
The Denver Nuggets.
No.
The
What would, like,
answer was right there in front of you guys the whole time.
no.
The Denver Nuggets
with-
in 81, 82, 83, they're the top 3 out of 6 scoring teams of all-time history.
What the hell?
The Denver
Yeah,
Nuggets.
I talked about that on a previous podcast. They had Fat Lever.
Yeah, and they were known as like a scoring team. And I remember
Yeah.
as a kid, my dad would be like, "Hey, you love basketball. Let's go to a basketball game." I'd be like, "Okay," and he'd be like, "I know you want to go to a Suns game, but like, let's go to a Denver Nuggets game because they score a lot, and it would be
So
fun."
you threw me off because you talked about the Denver Nuggets, and then you made it sound like they weren't the team from the 80s that did it.
We rewind. Everybody listening, rewind. I did not throw you off. I gave you the answer at the
I
beginning.
know.
I gave you guys
That's why I didn't guess that. Yeah.
That's great. This is a fun game. We gotta do more trivia games.
Yeah, I like that.
Speaking of trivia, I have one.
Okay.
All right, so apparently Nikola Jokic is into horses.
Oh.
Like maybe he's like the horse whisperer or something. He has at least a dozen horses or so. I have 4 different horse names, and the idea is to pick which one is the fake name. So one name is Bubba.
I will say I might have to take myself out of this because I've read a lot about so at the top of the show, sorry to cut you off, Jake,
No
but
worries.
at the top of the show we played that Jokic video where at the end he's like, "Wait, when is the championship parade?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I got to go home." So the reason why he had to go home is because one of his horses is in a big horse race. He has racing horses. He doesn't just have horses. He has racing horses. And one of his horses was in a race in Serbia the next day after the parade.
Wow.
So what happened, he's like, I got to go home. But he figured out, now that it's happened, he figured out that he could go to the parade, and then he hired a private jet to fly him from the parade to Serbia. It was like a 8-hour flight or something like that. And he got down and he did make the race for his horse races.
Nice.
For the horse race and for his horses. So I may know the horse name, but let's see. Maybe I don't.
Okay, so 4 different horse races, or 4 different horse names. I'm sorry. One is Bubba. One is Dreamcatcher. One is Harry Trotter, and one is not MVP.
And only one of them is his horse?
One of them is a fake name.
Oh, one of them is a fake name.
What would your guess be?
Not MVP.
Okay, not MVP. I think that's a good guess. What about you?
Me?
Scott? Yeah.
I mean, that's my pick. Can we both pick it?
Not MVP. Okay.
Hold on. What are the other ones?
Harry Trotter, Dreamcatcher, and Bubba.
No, I gotta go not MVP. I mean,
Oh man, it's actually Harry Trotter. I made that one up. I found that one on Google. So the other ones are real. Not MVP apparently is one of his horses.
well, we know what the horse's name is going to be when we make enough money on this podcast and we buy a racehorse. It's going to be Harry Trotter.
I like that one.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
You made that name up? That's
No, I actually just Googled like funny horse names, and that one I saw that one. So
well, we're going to steal it. Well, we've been duped. So he has a horse named Not MVP.
yeah.
God, that guy's awesome. I love him. I'm gonna get a poster and put him up in my room, like the '90s. All right. So I think we've talked enough about the NBA.
Yeah.
Our podcast feed says we've been on for an hour and 3 minutes, but I think that's false.
No.
I want to move on to the other finals that has been going on in the last month in June. Always does at this time of year. The NHL finals, Vegas beat Florida 4-1, just like the Nuggets beat Miami 4-1. Wasn't much of a fight. It seemed like Vegas was the better team. You guys got anything on this? What do you guys think?
I haven't watched
didn't.
a whole lot.
I didn't watch 1 minute of the NHL Stanley Cup.
I would say I'm
I watched a
stoked
lot.
that Vegas won though.
Yeah, I watched a lot of the playoffs. Not a lot, but I mean more than I ever have before. But the finals, I was kind of just waiting to see if it was a close series, and then watch like games 5, 6, 7. But it was just a rout. So, and
Yeah,
final wasn't the final game was what, 9-3.
Yeah. We had as a client of EventSmart, we had the under 6, and they scored 12 goals on that one. It was nice. That pretty much represents the month of June for us. But I got a couple stats for you, which is pretty wild. So, how many years do you guys think we're doing trivia?
Yeah, I know the name of this. I know the name of this episode.
How many years do you think I think of Vegas as like they just started. How many years do you think Vegas has been around?
They almost won in the first year they came out. 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah, you guys probably read it up.
Yeah,
6 years is what it is. I thought they were like 3 years.
No,
it's been 6 years.
I didn't read that. I just go to Vegas a lot, and I just remember that they were there before the pandemic. So that's at least 4 years right there. So I just did a little simple math.
And on the first year, they played Washington and lost in the finals. So they went to the finals the first year. That was a big story because an expansion team has never gone to the finals.
Yeah.
In any sport. And but they've been to the semifinals of the Western Conference 4 out of their 6 years, that seems insane to me. And they have a Stanley Cup. They lost a Stanley Cup. They've been in this Western Conference semifinals 4 out of 6 years. They've only missed the playoffs 1 time.
Wow.
I feel like as a peripheral fan of hockey, that happens more than any other of the major 4 sports, that an expansion team is good right away. Because weren't the Florida Panthers good right away? The Ducks were good right away. I just watched the 30 for 30 on the Mighty Ducks. That just came out. It's really good. I highly recommend that. But yeah, they went to the Stanley. They might have won it in their second year. I feel like that happens in other sport, in hockey more than any other sport.
I think that hockey opens itself up to happen like that because of coaching. Hockey is more of a team sport, and it's more coaching and team oriented. So you don't have to have a superstar. You just got to have like 3 units. It's like 15 guys that have to like all buy into what you are selling as a coach or your coaching staff is selling. And I think if you hire the right guys in an expansion year, then you can like get the guys that you want. And maybe it has to do with their rules of expansion too. Like the guys.
I was wondering if you might have known like how many players are allowed to protect, because the last time they did it in basketball, I think you could protect like 7 players. So
well, think of it this way.
Like that.
Think of it this way. If you protect 6 or 7 players on a basketball team, that's your guys. That's your rotation. That's the whole rotation right there.
Yeah.
And think about how much drops off between like a Jokic and the 8th player on the Nuggets. There's a giant drop off. But in hockey, that's not the case. They make stars in the NHL, but the stars in the NHL are not that big of a difference. The difference between like the best guy on the team and the 10th best guy on the team is not as big as in an NBA team. So like if they, let's say, I don't know how much they protect, but let's say they protect 6 guys. The second team could be great, like on any team. Like those guys can, especially if they like play the game that you want to play.
Yeah, they like you told me about the minutes played for a hockey player, because there's 3 lines. Like what'd you say? Like the max is like 25 minutes in a game for a guy.
That's the max.
Yeah,
there is guys that play 25, 26 minutes, but actually, if you look at a regular season game, the most is usually 20. Like,
yeah. So if you're, let's say hockey, you're allowed to protect 10 guys. That means a bunch of guys that are on third lines are getting available for drafting in the expansion. those guys could be first line or second line players, maybe just don't have the opportunity at the team that they're on. So that team I'd be curious to see how many people they protect.
It would be interesting to see that number. Also, I mean, I don't even think it might not matter just because let's say they protect 10 guys and then you can go at people's third strings. Because in hockey, you could get, you know who we need on this is AK from the Millie Goats because he really knows hockey. We can get maybe he could talk about this a little bit, but even in the third string, there's guys that just revolve around a certain team chemistry and a certain strategy. And if you just get those guys, then you stick with those guys, and it really puts it in perspective. Here's what goes in perspective. Hold on, before you say that number, let me just say this real quick. In the finals game of the last game where they won 9-3, they had 6 guys out of all their guys. They had 6 guys from the original team that the coach drafted in the expansion draft. They had 6 guys still on the team. And on the very final game, when they won 9-3, as kind of like a fuck you or like a, look, this has been working for 6 years, he started 5 out of 6 of those guys. And the first guy that he subbed in was the 6th guy. Just to say, like, dude, we're up 3-1. These are the guys. I'm playing these guys. It kind of says, like, it even kind of says, like, it doesn't matter who we drafted. Yeah. Like, we're drafting the right guys, you know? I don't know.
So when Seattle came into the league, each team was allowed to protect 8 skaters and 1 goalie. That's insane.
8.
So basically, yeah. So that at worst they're getting a second line player from every team, but some teams have a guy in the first line that for some reason, you know, they're paying too much money to, or they're in a rebuild. So like put that guy in the draft, or a goalie that like, yeah, we've got this new young guy coming up. We'll put that guy in the draft. You could start off with like a very good team right away in the NHL, and you can't. Well, the NBA hasn't done it for like 20 years, but I would imagine when the NBA does it again, because they're going to do it with Seattle and Las Vegas. Those 2 teams are coming pretty quickly. You're going to be able to protect like 6 guys, I would think, in the NBA. And so your pick. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and the difference is too, with the NBA, like we were talking about the drop off of players, but then also it's like the camaraderie of those players. Like in the NBA, if a player isn't playing good on the first unit, but they're a star, they don't usually put them in the second unit. The only time that's really happened is when Russell Westbrook was playing so bad for the Lakers that they're like, we got to put you with the second unit. But that never happens. That was a headline when that happened.
But his minutes didn't really go down. It's
didn't
just
go
a
down.
Different time you're coming into the game. So,
it was a hockey move. A hockey move. That's what they do in hockey. They don't give a shit. So me and my dad went to a Kings game in the playoffs, and going into it, I was like trying to tell my dad a bunch about the 2 teams, and he was like, so who are the stars of the Kings team? And I was like, these are the stars, is these guys right here. And 3 out of 5 of those guys didn't start. They're in the second unit. And he was like, those are the stars. You told me they're coming in on the second unit. I was like, that's not how it is. In hockey, they play with their units. It doesn't matter if you start or not. Like, you play with your unit. And I think that's what Vegas does. They have.
I'm making a short out of that.
Yeah.
Hockey is a lot like me in the bathroom at like 4 a.m. before my family.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
You play with your unit. That's the only time I'm getting laid is when you play with your unit.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hockey players play with their units.
There you go.
That's
I like
what
it.
they do.
It didn't even.
That's what they do.
It didn't even. I don't know. It didn't register for me. That was a good one, Chris.
Hey, I gotta go play with my unit. You guys cover the show for a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, we got it.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't watch any of the hockey. You don't even watch sports. So
I do when I have some bets out. I'll watch them while they're
Yeah.
on. And if I win or lose, I'll turn it off. But yeah, I got other stuff I should be working on.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't really watch much besides the NFL now. Like it's only sport that I really am into right now. I pay attention to all the sports. Well, I just went to the Padres game last night though.
Oh, how was that?
It was great. We got tickets from my wife's the owner of her company has season tickets, so he gave us to them. We drove down there and took my parents. They'd never been to that stadium before, and we watched them play the Guardians because that's my my mom's family's from Cleveland, so it was a good game too. And with the new rules, it goes by really fast. It's so much better. I can't even put it into words.
2 hour game.
It's still like maybe like 2.5. I don't know. The game started at 5:40, but we left at like the end of the 7th. And it was like 8, so it was like 2 hours in at the end of the 7th. So yeah, it's probably a 2.5 hour game. So
I wonder how much time it actually cuts off. I haven't looked into that numbers.
I think it was something like 20 to 30 minutes, which doesn't seem like that's that much. But if you're going from 3 to 3.5 hours to 2.5 to 3, it's a big difference.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's what the advantage. Their stadium is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being that cool when we used to go watch Dale, our buddy that played for the Padres, down there. And I looked up old pictures. It's because they didn't have all the big buildings in the background that they do now. They build all these like skyscrapers and hotels and stuff in the background, and it just looks cool. I'll put up the picture that I took of it right now. There's the picture. But yeah, the stadium's fucking awesome. I was telling Jake that we went to the Padres game yesterday.
Oh, did you? How was that?
It was awesome. That stadium is amazing. Amazing.
That stadium is really cool. One of the coolest things having kids there is at the end of the game they have like this little field in the outfield.
Yeah,
it's can like run around the bases.
Well, no, they play wiffle ball out there before. If you take them before the game, they can get them in. They can play wiffle ball.
Yeah, I think they have a continuous game that go. Well, last time I went, they had this continuous game that went, and you can hit it and then run around like the mini bases.
Sorry, it's not a game. It's like just hit it and run around the bases.
It's just someone's pitching and you stand in line to hit it. There was this one guy that we were there with my daughter and my at the time it was my girlfriend, now my wife, my second wife. And there was this kid. He was like 8 years old. And he would stand in line and he would come up and he would start talking shit to the people around, just like random people. He would like, you look at a parent and go, I'm gonna fucking hit this one out there. We're like, what do you do? Why are you talking shit to me? And he would knock it out. He would just fucking knock it out of the park and then like trot around the bases, just looking at everybody. And me and my future wife got a kick out of that because he was such a shit talker. There's something in shit talking in sports that is attractive that you're just like, you can't not watch that.
That kind of reminds me of Conor McGregor when you talk about shit talking.
Yeah.
I finally finished that series and he's one of the best shit talkers I've ever seen.
Are you talking about the series on Netflix?
Yeah.
How was that? I haven't seen it.
McGregor Forever, I think that's what it was.
Okay.
It's really good. You get the behind the scenes look at what kind of person he is, and he's definitely extremely confident, except when he's getting accused of rape. So
I was just gonna say, I heard they're coming out with a bonus episode where he gets arrested for rape.
Oh shit!
Well, that's what I was going to ask you guys. Is so he has this Netflix series out, and then this happened. Wait, is it rape or did he beat up a girl in a bathroom?
No,
he beat up the mascot at like the halftime show at the NBA Finals, and then after he beat up the mascot.
What mascot?
Whatever mascot for the
Nuggets, the Heat's mascot. It was supposed to be like a fake thing, and he throws a punch, but he like supposedly connected on it and sent the guy to the hospital. And then he did the rape, right? I think after. Yeah.
He raped a girl in the bathroom.
Well, so there's
So-
a video of him pulling the girl into the bathroom, and it wasn't like she was fighting against it. The rumors is that he invited her to his hotel room, and then she thought she was going to the hotel room, and he brought her into the bathroom.
She's
then-
like, oh shit,
Yeah.
this is a really shitty hotel room. She's got a toilet in here.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know.
I think he's stupid for putting himself in that situation. I don't know what happened. It's he could have raped her, which is fucking terrible, and he should go to prison forever if that's what happened. Or it was consensual sex and she regretted it afterwards, and he's just an idiot for putting himself in that situation. So I don't feel bad for him one way or I feel bad if he didn't rape her and he's gonna go to jail for it. But like, fuck, man, just don't put yourself in that situation. And he's married, and his wife's about to is pregnant with her 4th kid. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, the married thing with the kid, that's crazy. You shouldn't.
I just
he
don't
definitely
understand
put
it.
himself in a situation that was insane.
And there's cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's cameras everywhere. Having said that, and if it like you said, Chris, if it happened, that's fucking 100% wrong. It's just so tough in today's age. Like I feel so. I have a son who's only 4, but me and my wife have actually talked about this. Like when he becomes a teenager, like in today's age, it's like you gotta like. What do you when you're 16 and you're with like a girl like at a high school party at some person's parents' house, like do you got to get them to sign something before you like make out with them? It's like crazy. Like I look at my like when I was younger, like that's the whole point of like that's the fun part of the hooking up with a girl.
Like flirting
like
and
the game. There's a flirtation. You're like, oh, I think she's doing this. She's into me. So like, I'm going to make a move. And like all these little things. And like, you can't do that anymore. That would
There's a great Bill Burr skit talking about no doesn't always mean no. And the girl's like, there's no, like no means no, but no, stop, no. What my friends say, like there's like a difference. And then he goes back and he reads through like the police transcript. She said no. Like he's like, no, she didn't mean it like that. It's a great skit. But yeah, after my divorce and then dating again was just like very cautious of all that. It was a very, very different scene than it was, you know. So I was in a relationship for like 9 years, and then to get out of that in the late 2010s was just like, it's a very different world. Be very careful.
Chris, I've been with those girls, and we can cut this out if I say we can cut this out afterwards. But I've been in that situation before where like you're hooking up with a girl and she's like, oh, no, don't do that. And you're like, oh, sorry. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, but she like grabs your hand and puts it on her. No, don't do that.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, she's into this? This is we're playing. We're doing like role playing right now.
Or tells you to stop being a pussy.
That happened to me before too.
Yep.
Like, don't be a pussy.
Look, you said no.
All right. Yeah.
Anyways, back to sports.
I think there's a lot of guys that have no. Let's not get back to sports. This is an important topic.
It is.
I think there's a lot of guys that have gone through this.
This is
and we're
related.
not talking about this. I bet you like 80% of guys have gone through that.
This is sports related. It's about Conor McGregor.
Yeah. And I'm not and the funny thing is we don't want to say it because we're like, maybe he did. And if he did, that sucks. But we've all been in that situation where we're like,
I'm a little suspicious because she was holding her hand and not like fighting or holding his hand and went right into the bathroom with him, like no questions asked.
And another thing that Chris said about the cameras, Conor McGregor is aware of cameras.
Yeah.
That's his whole thing.
Yeah.
His whole thing is like, I am a fighter, but I'm also going to put on a show.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's watching me and I'm going to put on this whole show. So he knows what's going, he knows what's going on at all times. I can't imagine himself putting himself in that situation. I can't imagine.
it's so it's at like the Heat Arena too. It's not like it's just such a stupid situation to put yourself into. I just do not understand it at all.
Maybe he just didn't expect that many people to be at the NBA Finals. I don't know.
Yeah. He watched Jokic. He's like, this guy doesn't care about playing. Nobody cares. There's probably nobody here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right, man. Well, another thing that a lot of people don't expect us to talk about is our $10,000 bankroll.
Oh shit.
Because it's going down. But we're going to talk about it anyways because we keep it real on the podcast. Jake, give us the breakdown of our $10,000 bankroll.
All right, it's been coming down as our clients know. We've been on a pullback in June. Not much, but a little bit of a pullback, and our account's down to 7,580 positive. So yeah, we've taken a hit, but we're still up, and that's up 37.9%. So relatively speaking, that's still pretty good. The oil index is down 3%. The Dow Jones U.S. real estate index is down 4%. Gold is up 9.5%. S&P 500 index up 15%. You bet smart 37.9%, and Bitcoin is 56%. So we're still behind Bitcoin.
I want to.
This is our.
I don't
bankroll.
want to correct you. I want to say a disclaimer.
Yeah.
I don't know what the right word is, but it's not You Bet Smart that is 37%. On this podcast,
Yeah,
our
right.
$10,000 bankroll that we've done is up 37%.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you signed up at You Bet Smart on dubclub.win is Chris? Oh, Chris moved. I thought Chris was frozen for a second. You're really good at like staying still.
I know, because I rewatched the episode I did with Jake, and this is what I was doing the whole episode.
Oh, right there.
So it's like
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay still this one.
You should. Yeah, you had me.
Sorry.
You had me.
Go ahead.
If a You Bet Smart customer signed up at dubclub.win at the very beginning, they would be up 154%.
Yeah.
Which is way better than 37%.
Yeah.
And when I think of You Bet Smart, I think of the customer.
Yeah.
Like, what are they at?
Yeah.
Now, having said that, most customers signed up in the last 2 months because this is a new thing that we've been doing. And that sucks because they don't see those returns. They haven't seen those returns. So we got to be honest about that.
Yeah, exactly.
And but it's cool to see everybody signing up. We have a lot of YouTube shorts going out. Thanks to Chris. He edits those, and those are doing really good. We're getting 2,000 views. Let's see if we can get those at 10,000 views per short. But whenever those shorts, I was telling Jake before the show, Chris, whenever those shorts go out, we gain a dub clubber. I'm gonna call it. So those are really cool. And even in this losing streak, and so I think Jake, you wanted to mention that we are in a losing streak in the last month or two, but it's gonna happen. Those things happen.
I know, and it's just long term too. I mean, historically we're up thousands of percents, but we haven't been recording this. So, and the small sample size, we're not killing it by any means, but we're.
It'll be great when you guys do hit a good run too, because then I can make shorts out of that where we talk about it on the show. Like the last month, this is how much you guys are up. You guys think you're on a bad run. So the free bets that I put out to start this month, guys, the free bets I had put out were had one 78%, and we're up 23 units on the free bets, right? And I haven't counted today yet, but they lost 11 straight. And they lost pretty much 17 units. It's all disappeared. So
so that's what was up 23 units in June is the free bets.
The free bets were up 23 units. I just got lucky on the ones I was putting down. I was like, I got the magic back, and then it was fucking 0-2, 0-2, 0-2, and then yesterday was 0-5. Yeah, it was yesterday 0-5, and then I haven't counted. I don't know what happened today and the ones I put out, but yeah, it'll all come back around.
5 free bets out yesterday.
It depends. I kind of look at what, like, if we're on a hot streak, I pull back how many free bets are coming out. But on a cold streak, I put out more just to kind of entice people to come in.
Yeah.
So during hot streaks, less. I might only put out one a day during hot streaks, and be like, then I can be like, well, you got these 2 or 1 or 2 free bets. If you would have bet all of them, you would have been up 9 units for the day, but you only took this one and you're up, 2.4 units or whatever.
All right. Well, sign up at dubclub.com.win. You bet smart. But we were talking about you were talking about, like, we have been talking about what's been going on with the clients and the bets and everything. But Jake, you've been putting together something for the clients where they can track all this stuff. They don't have to just take our word for it on the podcast. Hopefully they're tracking all this stuff on their own, but you've put together something where they can just take, I have a lot of questions for you, actually, because I want to know how they can take this from you.
Yeah.
But you've put together a spreadsheet for the clients where they can track everything.
Yeah.
And it does everything for you automatically.
Yeah. So I might as well show you right now.
Yeah. I'm intrigued.
Nobody's seen this before, so it could.
You might have to share your screen.
Can I?
You can.
Right.
You just click present on
this one.
See down at the bottom, present.
Well, don't do that, actually.
Don't do that.
Because we're trying to edit it afterwards will be very hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah. Well,
I might as well show you real quick.
Just put a close up on my face.
All right. So
Okay.
This is just the template of it. I haven't filled out everything, but you put in the date here, the sport, the team, the bet type, the line, like basically if it's an over under, what the line is. When you put the odds in, it automatically does the break even for you, so they don't have to do the conversion themselves.
So can I cut you off real quick?
Yeah.
So the premise of this spreadsheet is you've put all the formulas in.
Yeah.
And then it has titles at the top to where, like, you just put in the information of the bets that you bet.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it calculates all the outcomes for you.
Exactly.
And the statistics.
Exactly. So you put in all the data for each bet, and you put in whether you won or lost, and it'll record the results for you. And you have a starting bankroll. It calculates your profit. It calculates your end bankroll. And then it also calculates what your final bankroll was yesterday. And so each day when you're going to make a bet, and let's say we do a 3-star, you're basically, it'll calculate exactly what a 3-star is as 3% of your bankroll yesterday. So then every bet that you put in will be a percentage of yesterday's bet. Like whatever you had the bankroll yesterday, it'll be a percentage of that. So when your bankroll grows, then the bet size grows. And when the bankroll goes down, the bet size shrinks. And so the idea is to reduce volatility and also automate the calculations for the customer, so they don't have to figure out exactly what 1% of their bankroll is every single day. And then they don't have to guess. Like, you're literally recording the odds. It'll tell you the break-even percentage. You put in the stars, the website. When you put in the risk, the risk is automated. The to win is the automated. So I did a conversion from risk to win or whatever as well. So that's all automated. You put in the outcome as a win or loss. And I combined all the columns into one instead of having win and loss in separate ones. They're all in one, so it shrinks the format down a little bit. I don't know.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Tell me if this is dumb.
Okay.
So how do we, I'll tell you the idea in a second. Let me ask you a question first. Mm-hmm. How do we send this to the customers? So we have
that's a good question.
Certain amount of Dub Club clients that could get all of our picks. How do we give this to them?
That's a great question. So my idea is that this was the alpha version where I would just give it to you and Chris for maybe 1 week just to fuck around with and make sure that the outputs are working for you guys and you guys don't see any errors and just to get a little bit of feedback. Maybe there's a small improvements I could do. This is a very simplified version of what I can make, but I just want to get this out to them as fast as possible. So once you guys approve, unless like maybe a week, then I would just roll the beta out to all our clients.
And how do you do that? How do you roll the beta out?
Okay, so that's a great question. So I was actually researching that today. I can just share the entire file, and then everybody would have it, and they could do it on their own, and it's really easy. But the one thing is, I kind of want to protect the formulas behind the sheet, so other competitors can't just take our stuff and use it as well. So I there's a way I can hide the formulas and still share the
sheet. You can like lock certain things on the spreadsheet. I don't know how to do it, but I know you can.
Yeah, I researched how to do it. It's definitely possible. So,
and by share the formulas, you mean like send it to them via email?
Well, I'll share the sheet. It'll actually be a link to this sheet without the formulas, for my understanding.
So basically, like Google Sheets, the way it's similar to Excel. Excel, if you click on a cell in there, you can see the formula that got you to get that output. So basically it would, because I have to, with my work, get stuff from people all the time where like I can look at certain things, but I can't look at the formula, like how they got the pricing and stuff to get to that point. Exactly. So that's basically, there's a way to lock all that stuff. So no one can see it, but they can still use it.
I figured out how to do it. I just haven't used that method yet. And that way we can have our own intellectual property behind these dashboards, and we can give it to our customers, and we won't have other competitors taking any of this stuff.
So here's my idea, because I have a feeling that with the various customers that we have, all the clients that we have, they have their spreadsheets. They do their own things. They may take in our information, but they also do their own things.
Yeah.
So it would be fun every week if we highlighted somebody who's doing good with their spreadsheet. Like we like highlight a customer who's doing good with their spreadsheet and see how they're doing and what they did.
Yeah.
It's like a spreadsheet of the week or whatever. And we highlight it on the podcast. Might not be a good idea. I obviously like threw that out there.
We might as well try it. I'm all open for trying new segments and seeing what the feedback is.
It'd be fun to have someone like call in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We do this live. I love call-ins. Dr. Drew and
you want those kind of call-ins?
Yeah, I mean,
I got a weird rash on my penis. What do you think I should do about it, Dr. Scott?
Well, yeah, they're like, they start talking about their spreadsheet and getting turned on. All right. Yeah. No, it might be something there.
Yeah.
And I really like the spreadsheet that you can like give that out to customers. I think it's a really good idea because it does everything for you.
Yeah.
We've talked about how you should do all of these things with your bankroll, but this kind of like it manages the bankroll for you.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have to. I wake up in the morning and I get a couple 3-star picks, and I don't know how much 3% of my whatever bankroll is because it fluctuates every day. This would do all that calculations for you, so you would know what 3% of your bankroll is.
Let me ask you this. So this fluctuates the bankroll every day?
Yeah.
So it's not every bet, it's every day. Every day it resets
exactly
to the next percentage, and it would be like
every day
1 star is 1% and 2 stars is 2%.
Exactly.
Of the bankroll, and it's like a rolling bankroll.
Exactly.
Should we do that with the $10,000 bankroll? Because the $10,000 bankroll, we do it in segments.
Yeah.
Whenever we decide to go up and down.
I honestly think our results would be significantly better if we did it the way that we're recommending. Like,
so maybe we should just implement that.
I have an idea of how to back test it and literally implement this into our strategy to see what the results would be. And then if I can back test it, then I can change the value and like substitute the Kelly criteria in or something.
I would think that it would be better because here it is right here. Because what did you say? So our $10,000 bankroll is at 37%
yeah
ROI.
Yeah.
But the customer is at 154%.
I know it's way.
So we
different.
must be doing something wrong on that. I mean,
insane.
that's crazy.
The thing is, it was
That's insane.
it was like
Because you guys jump.
right when we doubled our.
I think we got crazy. We got crazy.
Well, I think we doubled our bet size right when we hit like a really terrible streak, and it just, I don't know, that bankroll got crushed because of it. In all honesty.
Okay.
But if we were doing this proportional where it's daily as a percentage, just like we're recommending to everybody else, I'm confident the results would be significantly better, as like you're talking about, and I'm confident that I'll be able to prove that very shortly.
Is there any way that we can back test to see where we're at if we would have done that?
I believe with this I can do that.
Because we have all the data, so you can easily like back test it.
Unfortunately, right now, I mean, I might have to do it manually for a little bit, but I know I can do it with Python, and I'm confident we could do it. So that just brings up another point, is that I feel like I've been getting a little bit better at coding, and there's a lot more potential with working with Jason, participating in the coding forums, working with ChatGPT as like a sidekick. I can't explain how beneficial that's been. Anytime I have a question, instead of going to a coding forum, I just ask ChatGPT and it codes it for me. If there's an error, I submit the error, and then ChatGPT adjusts the code. So I've been making a lot of progress with that. And then also, I've just decided to hire my own personal coding tutor. And I have a tutor appointment on Monday afternoon, I'm sorry. And so if that goes well, I'm going to make it a weekly habit just to step my game up even more.
Is his name Chad GTP?
Nah. So
okay, sorry. This is a bad joke.
Might as well.
All right.
Yeah, so.
That's really. Is there anything else that's with the client? When are you going to roll this out? When can we make this?
Let's say 1 week of you guys testing it, giving feedback, and then maybe within a week after that. So hopefully within 2 weeks. Okay. I want to give them one that doesn't have bugs, and that I get good feedback from you guys too. So it's a fairly simple spreadsheet, but there's kind of a lot going on. And if this base works well, you've seen how much better our dashboard is. I can add all of that to this eventually too. So
yeah, like all the other statistics and
graphing,
graphs, and yeah, for sure. That's probably an easier thing to do.
Yeah.
I would imagine that the complicated formula was that changing the percentage every day.
Yeah, as a proportion of yesterday's bankroll.
It
was more difficult than I thought. I actually had the formula pretty fast, but there's a weird setting on Google Sheets that you just have to push a button to turn the calculation on. Huh. And then I wouldn't be getting the error anymore. So I don't know. Anyways, we'll have it out to them soon.
All right. Well, you can look forward to that soon. What I'm looking forward to is the only part of my podcast outline that I don't know what is happening, and that's the surprise. That's Chris's Corner. What is gonna happen right now?
So basically, I just wanted to talk about what's going on YouTube since we started putting out the videos on YouTube. And I've been editing them, and it's going really well, actually. We're up to 118 subscribers on there, and that's pretty much all just natural. I mean, we push it to our friends and stuff, but we keep gaining a couple subscribers a day on average by just putting out YouTube shorts and YouTube videos. And then YouTube sent me an email about making a playlist or a podcast playlist. So I did that today, and we didn't really gain any subscribers from it, but we gained views on our videos. And I think it's because the subscribers lag behind when they actually give them to you. Because I noticed that on our shorts that we do, that it will say we gained subscribers, but a day or two later is when we actually get them, or reverse. It'll say we get none, and then we'll get more, and then we'll get a couple, and I'll go back and check the video, and we have more subscribers. So there's a lag on there somewhere. But yeah, just keep putting out the YouTube shorts as many as I can. I try to put out one a day during the week. around noon seems to be like a good time to do it. We get like 1,500, 2,000 views on it and a shit ton of likes on it and a couple subscribers from each one. So we just got to figure out a way to make more content when we're shooting the podcast that is short worthy, like 20-second clips and stuff, which Jake and Scott, after this episode is over, they're going to record their betting tips. But how many betting tips are you guys going to do? Did you guys have that number narrowed down? Yeah, it's going to be somewhere around like 30 or something, but we'll make shorts out of all those. That's going to be a whole episode. And actually, the episodes that are doing the best on YouTube right now are the informative ones. So the one we have with Sean Lampel, the lawyer, has our most views. And
For
then
the
second
shorts
most,
or the
no, for the actual full length podcast.
Okay.
So the most is Sean's, and then right behind it is Jake's friend who came on with the machine. Jason, who came on with the machine learning. That's a close second. Those keep getting views every day. The rest of our episodes, it's like after a couple of days, no one really watches them anymore. But the machine learning and the law are just every day we get more views on them. So
it's the evergreen.
It's good.
I was
I
just
do
thinking
evergreen
Yes,
episodes.
exactly. I think it's good to put out those. If we can put out like one of those a month, something informative. We can't put them out all the time because obviously we can't have like experts in a field on all the time. And for me, that's, and you guys, I think it would get boring just to do that over and over, like just do boring stuff. But it's not boring. I shouldn't say boring, but stuff that you really got to listen to and think about, as opposed to like a episode like this where we're just bullshitting, because these are the ones that we have the most fun on. I had fun with Sean and I had fun with Jason too, but those are the ones I think we should try to do one a month, that we can get someone on that is an expert in their field. And it just seems like you're saying they're evergreen. Doesn't matter when we play those, and that's why I think they're getting more views, because it's not like, an episode titled like Jordan versus LeBron or the Tiger Woods thing. It's like, that's only good for that week, or someone specifically looking for Tiger, but if people are looking for machine learning, that can be at any time during the year, or sports betting law anytime during the year. So yeah, we're growing. So
Yeah,
just going to keep that up.
I like it. I like hearing that stuff, Chris.
I agree.
And
I'm glad to hear that our shorts are growing.
Our shorts are going to be pants pretty soon if they keep growing at this rate.
Yeah.
I do have something to talk about though. So every year I go back and visit my family in Ohio. My mom's side of the family's from Northeast Ohio. We go visit them. We always do it around opening day for the Browns. Not just because the Browns are playing, but just that we used to play in a golf tournament, and that was just the weekend it was. But we still go out there now if the golf tournament's not going on. And I've been to like 10 opening days for the Browns over the last 20 years. And so we're going again this year. And my cousins and I were like, let's go to the Browns game. We haven't been in since 2017. So we bought tickets, and then my cousin texted me and he's like, download the Browns app. You can get in through express access. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And I got on there and did it. And basically it's a facial recognition. So you download the app, you put in your ID, you take a picture of yourself. And then when you get to the game, you just walk by a iPad kind of thing, and it sees your face, and you don't need your ticket or anything. You just walk right in. So it's like,
And there's no
that's really
person
cool.
there. It's just an iPad.
I think there's a person there, just
Like
it
out.
clicks green and you're allowed to go in. So
Why do
I
you
talked
think that they're doing that?
okay, that's what I'm going to get to. So I talked to the owner of my company about that. He's a younger guy, and I was like, and we talk about this shit all the time, and like random shit like this. And I was like, I wonder how much the Browns paid for that technology. And he's like, I don't think they paid for it. I think someone's paying them to use that technology. That someone's paying them, either the government or a company, to use your bio data, your face, to
Get data.
to get into something like that, to get data off it. Someone's paying the Browns to do that. So I was like, oh fuck, I don't know if I even want to like do that. But then I was like, it's super convenient. I'll give up my face. I don't care. So yeah, you basically, I'm curious what you do. You guys think that it's the Browns paying for that, or do you think a company is paying them to let them use or make them use that data? Not make them, but have them use that data.
Well, now that you said it, I think it's the latter. I think that they're paying the Browns for it, for data, because obviously like companies want data. I mean, that's what Facebook and like Instagram and TikTok are doing. TikTok, if you listen to Rogan's like TikTok is Chinese spyware, where they're like getting data from us. The thing about data, and I'm only coming from a consumer, and maybe it's the best crime. Maybe it's the perfect crime. They're getting data from me, right? So let's say my Alexa is listening to me, or I'm saying, Alexa, play this, or Alexa, tell me this. But even if I'm not asking Alexa, Alexa is listening to me. And the next time I look at my phone, I'm like, babe, our mattress sucks. We need a better mattress. I want another mattress. Then the next time I look at my phone, there's ads on mattresses. The thing that is the trouble. This is the problem with it, as far as like if it's bad. Let's say it's bad. It's bad for humanity. This is the problem. Is I love it. I can't get enough of it. I don't understand why people hate it. I love it. I love to talk to Jake and say, hey, blockchains matter. That's a great shirt, Jake. I love your fucking shirt. And then all of a sudden I have a bunch of ads on my phone about blockchains. So like, this is a really good crypto that you might want to buy because you were talking about blockchains earlier. I love that. I want to hear about the mattresses that I want. I want to hear about the hats that I want, or the shirts that I like. I want to look at my phone and it tells me, you want this? Here it is. I like that. I know you don't. I know, and that's what people are like, that's dangerous. But I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah. So it's I like it too because it makes things easier for you, but you're not looking at why they're collecting all that data. They're collecting it for advertisements. They're also collecting it for like, I don't want to get into like a crazy conspiracy, but like population control, like where you can live, what you can do. Like we experienced during the pandemic, like you can't go out and do certain things. Now imagine if they had all your bio data, what your face looked like. And that's what they dealt with in China, is like they would have drones flying around and see your face and then be able to be like, well, this person, Scott, was out past 6 p.m. and he didn't have a work permit to be out that late. Like we've got to confine him to his room or to his house for 3 days now,
and probably lower his social credit score too.
Yeah, lower the social credit card. Yeah, it's what it's doing right now is great for like what it's doing right now, but that's not the ultimate goal of like people.
Maybe.
So if it's
nefarious, then it is what you're talking about.
That's how technology like that always starts out, like with it not being a nefarious. Well, I mean, advertising shit is kind of nefarious, but like,
yeah,
that's not the way it starts out. It starts out as like a good thing. Like all the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, all of them started out as like a good thing. People waited for people to connect. And then look what happened when like you needed to use Facebook or Twitter. If you said the wrong thing, they kicked you off. So like that, it'll never be in the right hands of the right people, because people, what's that phrase? Power corrupts, and absolute power absolutely corrupts. Like you can't trust that shit. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I think it's really cool that I can go in the game and just show my fucking ugly face and get into the game. But I don't know what they're going to end up doing with that technology. Like 10 years down the road, they could be using that against me. Well, that's why I'm leaving California. I'm gonna
You
move.
should leave. You should leave California.
Go to Nevada.
I don't know. That's a really cool phrase that you said, absolute power and all that. I don't watch Billions, so I don't know.
No, that's
those
not from
phrases.
Billions. No, I don't know who said that, but it's a great quote about like the best person, if you give him unlimited power, will most likely like be corrupted by it because we're all fucking monkeys floating around on a fucking giant rock.
Nikola
like,
Jokic probably said it or something.
You know what? He probably did. He's like, you guys don't even know what's going to happen right now.
So yeah,
absolute power. I don't. It's my job to have absolute.
I thought it
power.
was super interesting though that like that apparently they beta tested it like in 2021 at the Browns stadium, but now they're rolling it out to like just anyone can use it. So
that's the best part of this story. Is there? So in this conspiracy, if there's like a bunch of dudes that like get together and they like, hey, how are we gonna put the next technology thing to control the population?
No, that's
well. Hold on. Let me just.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
Let's just
sorry.
say they're doing this, and they have a meeting where they're like, we need to test this, and they're like, Jake, where do you think we should test this new technology out? And they're like, Cleveland. It should definitely be Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like,
they'll let us do anything in Cleveland.
Yeah. Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah,
you know those fuckers in Ohio. They'll do anything.
They have to shovel their driveways half the year. Like if you give any sort of convenience, they're just like fucking just take my fucking liberties.
The best part is they chose Cleveland. That's the city they chose.
Sorry for stepping all over your joke.
No, it's all good.
No, that's the thing. It's not what like it goes in steps. Like I guarantee probably the company that's paying for that is like an advertising company. They want to figure there's some they're going to use that like your facial recognition, like, oh, this white guy I've got, like he's going to be into fucking like, well, not Bud Light anymore, but he's going to be into like, he looks like a straight white male. He walked in with a woman. He's going to be into like blah, 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 blah. But then they're going to sell that data to someone else. And then that other person's going to use that data for something that it shouldn't be used for. And that's the issue that is going to end up happening. But yeah,
that's a hard thing to wrap your mind around because it's so many steps. I think you need like a Nikola Jokic or like a Serbian or Russian like chess player to know like all these steps that are coming out because I can't look that far ahead.
Yeah,
but I love it. I love the technology. I'm addicted.
Yeah,
I'm addicted
to
the technology.
Do you guys want to do one more like a news story, or do you want to close it out?
I got a lot more.
Or do you guys have something else?
We wanted to talk about Messi going to America.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we'll save this one for another day then.
We can save which one? What are you gonna do?
Just talk about that the Oakland A's reverse boycott.
What happened with that? I don't even know what happened with that. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so the fans in Oakland, they're pretty much moving the team right to Las Vegas
because they're only getting like 5,000 fans a game.
Yeah, and the reason so that stadium is terrible. I've never been there before. Which, side note, I think this would be a cool idea. We could fly up to Oakland, take the earliest flight we could, go watch a day game, and then fly back.
Let's book the flight right now.
Dude, how awesome does that sound?
Right now.
Okay,
I think it's great because there's nobody there.
Yeah,
and we can experience.
Exactly.
Maybe we can even like interview some people.
Yeah, there'd be like 400 people at the game. Yeah.
Video.
So
we got to do
put that in your pipe and smoke it. So the fans
that might be the title, sir.
We'll have to figure out what the title is, but so a group put together and like basically they want the owner to sell the team instead of moving them. So they made all these t-shirts They draw like 7,000 fans per game, and they got 27,000 people to show up for this, and like a bunch of them bought the T-shirts and wore them. That same day, the Nevada Senate approved 380 in public funding for the new stadium, which Oakland wouldn't approve any of the funding for the state. It's not just the team's fault. It's also the Oakland City Council would not approve funding for the stadium. So that's part of the reason the A's are moving. There's a lot of like moving part. Go ahead.
And they want to go to Vegas? Is that where they want to go? Okay.
Yeah. Which makes sense. Like, why would you not want to go there? And the fans don't show up because the stadium is a fucking dog shit stadium. Like, it's terrible.
Imagine two Oakland teams losing themselves to Vegas.
Yeah, and both of them are going to lose their team because the city refused to give any public funding to the team. Which the people on the side are like, well, why did they're billionaires? Why should we pay for it? It's because you know how many jobs like a stadium provides? It's year-round employment. There's concerts that you can do there. There's games. There's conferences. Everything. Nearby. Yeah, restaurants. It's just a retarded move to be like, well, these billionaires, like they can afford to build their own stadium. Yeah, some of them can, but not Oakland. Like that guy's that owns the team can't afford to build a fucking $2 billion stadium. So, they drew 27,000 people to that game, and they sell the team.
Wow.
Yeah, sell the team went on the whole time. And the A's actually won 2-1, and
that's probably like the 12th game they won all year.
I think it was the 13th win.
Is that right? Oh wow.
Yeah.
We gotta. So after this podcast, we gotta book that flight to Oakland. We gotta pick a weekend where we can go. Where it's a good one for.
No, Oakland. It's gonna be a week. It's gonna be a weekday.
It's gotta be a weekday. Okay, why?
Well, because the flights are going to be on a weekend flight to Oakland is going to be more expensive. Like
we got to do it cheaper, for sure.
A weekday flight,
like a Tuesday. Tuesday, fly out.
Yeah.
Oh, let's do it, and then we'll interview players. We'll do a whole thing, and we'll put it up on yeah.
Let's interview fans and be like,
I meant fans, but
I like the players.
I mean, there might be players walking around too.
Like we have access to players.
We might have there.
I have delusions of grandeur in my mind. We'll interview the coaches and the players, and put a whole 60 minutes interview. All right. That's great. We should do that. I think we got to close on that.
Okay.
Let's save all the rest of the stuff for later. I love it. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And look for us in the future, the Oakland A's reporting. We're going to give you all of the sabermetrics, all of the plus EV on the Oakland A's.
We might even be interviewing some A's.
Yeah, we're going to interview players. Peace.
Later, guys.
Later.